If you're a candidate for cabin crew and you're going to participate in an assessment day, you should know that the group interview is the part that fails the most candidates. And in this video, I'm going to tell you the 10 mistakes you can never make when you're participating in a group interview during an assessment day. Hello, how are you? I'm Romulo Gutierrez, and this is the Flight Deck Briefing channel. I've been a recruiter and selector for 28 years working with major airlines around the world. And today I provide training for recruiters from more than 45 global airlines. Are you going to participate in an assessment day and a group interview? Pay close attention so you don't make the mistakes I'm about to discuss. The 10th mistake, one at a time. Not paying attention to the time factor. Generally, the total time for this stage, meaning the group interview, is 1 hour. Do not go over the time limit for any part of it. Let me give you an example. You're participating in a group interview and you're given the challenge of making a presentation. Normally, the recruiter will give you a time limit for this presentation. So they'll come up and say, ladies and gentlemen, you can give a 1-minute presentation so we can all get to know each other. And then the candidate starts talking and keeps talking. 1 minute passes, then 1 minute and 15 seconds. Normally, the recruiter will cut you off. When they cut you off, I would say that you are 70% eliminated from the selection process. This is because in global aviation, one of the most important factors is time. Therefore, for the activities you're asked to do during a group interview, if they ask for 1 minute, it's 1 minute. 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds. Try to be very strict with the time. This mistake gets a lot of candidates rejected. The 9th mistake, what is it? Not preparing for the potential individual questions. There are classic questions that are asked in all assessment days during the group interviews. I'm going to mention 3 that are very important. The third one, why do you want to be a flight attendant for example, Alaska Airlines? Why do you want to be a flight attendant for Alaska Airlines? And then you'll have 1 minute to answer. Another question that will always come up, of course I said Alaska Airlines, but you can think of any other airline in the world, Lufthansa, Air France, Delta Airlines, American Airlines, any of them that have an assessment day. We'll ask this question about why you want to be one of their cabin crew members. The second question they'll ask is, in your opinion, what is most important in the customer experience? They should ask about the customer experience. And that's why it's so important to show how important it is. The customer is the protagonist and the star of the airline. Another classic question on Assistance Day is about your strengths and weaknesses. This will also be a very frequently asked question. When you don't prepare for these 3 questions, you're more likely to fail. 8th mistake. Let's go back to the first one. Following up on a colleague's answers, full of cliches. It is very important that your answers are personal, that they show your life trajectory, that they show your trajectory in customer service, that they show your trajectory of interest in the airline. I see a lot of people failing group interviews, especially on assessment day, precisely because they repeat what their colleagues are saying. Don't follow patterns, just follow the times, but work on your skills. Now, before moving on to the 7th mistake, which is quite critical, I'm also going to extend an invitation to you. You know that airline recruiters generally don't give second chances. That's because the competition is very high. And to guarantee your maximum efficiency and 0 failures in the selection process, to stay ahead of the competition, I created the guide to 50 fatal mistakes that can instantly eliminate you from your selection process. It's a small investment of $55 that you'll make, and it will certainly make a big difference in your selection process. Don't risk your elimination. Click the link below the little green booklet. It's in the description, it's in the first comment, and get your guide now. 0 mistakes to help you launch your career. Let's move on to 7th mistake. Failure to actively listen. It's also in this guide, which is in the ebook below, okay? Active listening. During a group interview, it's clear that we get very worried about what we should say, right? We are concerned about when we should speak. For example, Tamiris Johnson spoke, Michael Roberts spoke, I'm next to speak. And I'm there paying attention, but I'm very worried. So also pay attention to what your colleague is saying. I once gave a tip to a Spanish flight attendant. I think her name was Natalia Hernandez, and she passed by without even taking it. I told her, when you're there on assistance day at the press conference, when your colleagues are presenting, try to pay attention, look around, have a discreet notepad to jot down any important words. Interact positively with your colleague's speech, because that's what you'll be doing when you're on board. And she said, Oh, Romulo, I think that's too risky. And I said, No, you can do it. And she did. She passed the group interview, and today she also had other mentoring sessions. And she's been flying for Emirates for over 2 years. So active listening is one of the key ways to pass a group interview. Let's move on to that. I mentioned the 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th. Now for the 6th mistake. Before I get to that, if you want individual mentoring here at Fly Deck Briefing, it's a one-on-one mentoring session where we'll interview you, give you tips, and point out your mistakes, all live and online via Google Meet. You can go to the video description and the first comment, there's a link. You click it, and you'll land on a Hotmart page, which is a 100% secure environment. Right there, you can schedule the days and times you want and make the payment. Hotmart has very clear refund policies. You'll receive the links for the meetings, and we'll meet for the interview or any other stage, group dynamics, group interview, to prepare you for your selection process. And I'm sure it will work out. Fly Deck Briefing has new videos on Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, there's a new video, so subscribe and leave a like. Let's move on to the 6th mistake. Not studying the company's culture. For example, if I'm in a selection process for Qantas Airways from Australia, the company's main values are integrity, respect, innovation. This way, during my group interview, on my assessment day, I have to show my innovative side, I have to show my respectful side, and what my parents taught me about integrity. When I add this, I'll call it seasoning. When I add this little bit of seasoning to my answers during the group interview, you avoid the cliche. You get away from what everyone else is answering. And the recruiter sees you as unique, as singular, and as someone who connects with the company's values. This gets a lot of people approved. This tip alone is worth your like right here. Let's move on to the 5th mistake. Don't make it. In fact, the next ones are what cause the most rejections. Forgetting that group interviews usually have team challenges too. Many times you have to collaborate with a colleague. So sometimes in a group interview, for example, I've seen many companies put a screen up with a few words and you choose a word to. Japan Airlines does this. So they put a word up there for you to say what that word represents to you, and then you speak. And then they ask the colleague next to you, I'd like you to add to Romulo's answer. So this collective work is often required in group interviews on assessment day. My tip, actively listen to your colleague and always try to collaborate with all your colleagues throughout the selection process. I usually say that in the selections for the world's major airlines, the one who wins is not the one who competes. The one who wins is the one who collaborates. Whoever collaborates wins. Be collaborative with your colleague. The 4th factor that eliminates many people, a lot of people, in the group interview and assessment day stages is losing emotional control. I know, it's an important moment. It's a long-awaited moment. It's the moment you're there. In the interview for United Airlines, the interview for Lufthansa, the interview for Qatar Airways. Your heart races, but it's important to stay in control, maintain control, your emotional control. Okay, the recruiter they're even tolerant. We are trained to be tolerant of the candidate's emotions. But a cabin crew member in a moment of crisis, for example, an in-flight crisis, a crisis on board, which can happen, we hope it doesn't, but it can happen, they have to maintain control. So it's crucial to show emotional control when facing questions, and even when facing the recruiter's objections. I, as a recruiter, do this a lot, and I also train recruiters from all over the world to make objections. So sometimes a candidate gives an answer, and I say, look, your answer is the same as your previous colleagues. I'd like you to rephrase it. And then the person completely loses control. So always try to maintain emotional control. This gets many candidates rejected around the world. How do I maintain my emotional control? Me, before an important activity, I like to listen to a song that inspires me. I like to talk to God. I'm a Christian, so I like to talk to God. I like to remember things that make me feel good before any decisive stage in my life. That gives me peace of mind, and I recommend the same recipe for you. The third point, which causes a lot of rejections, not knowing how to backtrack if you're asked to. Didn't I say that some recruiters, myself included, create objections, create problems, create barriers to what the candidate is saying? It's interesting when this is done, don't be afraid to backtrack. I'll give you an example. The recruiter presents an in-flight situation, and he says that a passenger who is a big Instagram celebrity is complaining about the quality of the food that was served on board for him. And he says he's going to start recording a video right then and there to badmouth the airline. And then this situation comes up in the group interview, and I ask, what would you do? And then you offer a solution. Hypothetically, you say, look, I'll ask him to calm down. I'll ask for his dinner to be served again, apologizing on behalf of the company. And then I, to quote unquote, put the candidate in a complicated situation. I say to him, look, but that's a very, very weak solution. Don't you have a more decisive solution for this moment? So this is common on assessment days during the group interview. My tip, if you agree that your answer isn't good, don't be afraid to backtrack. Backtrack with complete calm. Backtrack with total ease. Do it calmly. Now, if you really believe your answer is good, explain it again, go into detail, say why, give the reasons, and stand your ground, okay? The second mistake, talking too much or not talking at all. When you go to a group interview, if you're the one who monopolizes the time, the one who thinks they know it all, and you talk too much, you'll be rejected for the first mistake I mentioned, which is the mistake with time, all right? And you'll probably also prevent your colleagues from speaking, which is very bad. You take away their right to speak. Now, when you go to a group interview and they have you discuss a certain topic, and then come the individual questions. If you speak very little, they give you a minute, you answer in 10 seconds. They give you 2 minutes, you answer in 30 seconds. The path to rejection is already laid out for you. I hope that doesn't happen to you. That's why I started this YouTube channel, the Fly Deck Briefing. And the first question, the first mistake that gets a lot of people rejected is when they ask you to do an individual presentation. A pitch, tell me about yourself. A lot of people have nothing prepared. And I've left a complete video for you right here to make your individual presentation really good. Go watch this video right here. It'll help you a lot. Prepare well. I'm rooting for you. A big hug. And until next time, bye.